Hello super sexy people and welcome back to a new video. You guys are probably thinking, Sophia, it is literally summer, it's boiling outside, people are sweating their butts off. Why are you wearing a hoodie? I'm in my basement, as you can tell. This is not where I normally film, but in here it's extremely cold that I literally have to sit underneath a blanket and wear a hoodie, which is very relieving after sitting in literal just sweat for 2 days straight. Turned off that light and it's still on. I think this is homophobic. Is it just not gonna turn off? And it's just not gonna turn off, so I'm gonna be blinded for half of the time, but that's okay. Let's just get into today's video. So today I'm doing a little books that got me out of a reading slump and that will probably get you out of a reading slump. It's a mix of a bit of a romance, a bit of a murder mystery, a thriller a bit. These are just like the books that I've been reading over the past couple of months that have just swooped me right back into reading and reminded me why I like this so much. And I know that reading slumps, they can get so annoying and you're just desperate to get out. So I thought this would be a good time, especially, you know, summer's coming up. We're gonna have a lot more time to read and you might get into reading some faster because you are reading more. Maybe you read a book that you don't like that much. So I thought this is the perfect time to film this video. The books are right there, so I think I'm just gonna start from the top of the pile and then go down. I have some notes right here on my laptop, just so if I look there, they know what's going on. So the first book that I recommend you to get you out of a reading slump is Love Me Not. It is a part of a series, but you can read each part of the series kind of standalone. You get reintroduced into the characters a bit. If they talk about previous happenings, they kind of recap on that, so you know what's going on or why certain characters aren't particularly liked by others. So this is the 7th part in the Detective Inspector Helen Gray series. I recently read the first book, but this was the first book I ever read in the series. And immediately from the start, I loved it. The chapters are not longer than 5 pages. Some of them are literally 1 page. It's written in a way that each chapter ends with a hook, so that you just want to keep reading, and since they're so short, you're like, oh, another chapter will be fine, another chapter will be fine, because they are so short, and then you end up literally reading for 2 hours. So it is about Detective Inspector Helen Gray, and she has to solve this mystery, and there's a body found in the middle of the road, and the first thing is just an accident, but turns out it isn't. Then later in the story, another murder happened, and they first think that these are separate from each other, but then they start to connect the dots. They want to catch this killer before, obviously, more deaths happen. And the entire book takes place in 1 day. So it's very captivating. It just consumes you because so much is happening. And what I really, really liked about this book, which kept me, especially, I think that was the factor that kept me hooked the most, is that you get different point of views, but it's not specified whose point of view it is, but you also get a point of view of the actual killer and what their next steps are, and then you kind of can compare how, you know, up to speed the detective is, and it's just written in such an amazing way. I've now started to collect the rest of the series just because I love it. I adore it. Then the next book is The Hating Game. I read this last month. It's still quite recent. This is not a sticker, this is printed on the cover. Yeah, I actually did a reading vlog on this book, so if you want to check that out, you can. And I feel that this is a very popular book. I feel like everyone knows about it, but The Hating Game is about Lucy and Joshua, but often called Josh. And it's kind of like a workplace romance, enemies to lovers. It is specified why they dislike each other, and because it kind of, you know, they have this competition and they're both fighting for the same promotion. So they have kind of this, you know, competitiveness within their relationship. It's kind of a cheeky romance. What I really liked about this, like, the writing style was really easy to read, you know, it was just enjoyable. Like, it's not a book that I think about, but I enjoyed it, you know, I had fun with it. I read it, and yeah, because it's so nice to read and it doesn't take much effort, you just want to keep reading because it does kind of, you know, like, there are some unanswered questions that you want to find out. That's why I think it's good for getting out of a reading slump. I personally gave this, I think, 3.5 stars. Not because it wasn't good, but it wasn't, like, captivating. Like, it wasn't why I've been using captivating so much. Anyways, it was still an enjoyable book, you know, it kept me really entertained. And after this, I like, because it was so entertaining, I realized how much I actually like reading, and it got me like out of a reading slump that I was in. And I just like, literally, I think in the week that I finished this book, I finished 2 other books just because I was like, oh yeah, fuck this. Excuse me. This is why I like this so much. The next book is not as known, but it's definitely a popular series. It was a popular series quite a while ago. It is The Death of an Outsider, so it's the Hamish Macbeth series. I'm pretty sure it's written in like the 80s. These are all the other parts in the series. I'm pretty sure there's like 30 something in the series. It's insane. Yeah, so they all start with Death of. And this one is Death of an Outsider. It's the first Hamish Macbeth book I have read. Since it's so short and the font is massive. It's such a nice read. It's quote unquote cozy mystery because it's not very gory, it's not very heavy. And what I really liked about this book, there were aspects of friendship, romance, and just like really the insights of the main character. The only struggle that I had with this book was that the dialogue is written with a Scottish accent. Sometimes I was a bit like, what the hell does this mean? But I read most of the book in one sitting, so that was kind of why, like, if once you get into it, you can just fly through it. Like, I literally just sat down and read the entire book. So that's why I think also for getting out of a reading slump, this might be nice, just because it's such a short read. You know, it's still like a mystery, so you're still trying to find something out, so that keeps you hooked. A great series, and just really pick up any of the books because they're all like cozy mystery and they're all relatively short. Moving on. Oh my god, my camera's about to die. Why does this always happen? It's the famous. This is actually the first Colleen Hoover book I ever read. I only read 2. I currently started my 3rd one. It's so interesting, in my opinion. Some people say there was no plot, there was nothing to keep, like, there was nothing except for the romance that kept you, like, reading. There's a double point of view, but the male's point of view is from 6 years ago because something happened 6 years ago and we don't find out up until about the end. And throughout the book, you're just trying to figure out what happened and you try to put the pieces together and still be very intrigued with the romance that was happening from the woman's point of view. So it's about Tate and Miles. It's kind of like a toxic relationship, like kind of like we shouldn't be doing this. The main thing about the book is that he has a rule that, you know, never ask about the past and don't expect a future, but obviously because he's keeping the past such a big mystery, the main character wants to find out, you know, what happened, but we as a reader also want to find out what happened, and I feel like that just makes it so interesting to read. In the end, it hurt me so much. I don't have a reading vlog on this, but it's in one of my videos. Moving on to the 5th book. I only read this like 2 weeks ago, I think. I finished this 2 weeks ago, and this book had me in a chokehold. I was reading this while I was kind of, you know, blooming in romance myself as well. And I feel like that really added to the experience of the book as well. But the writing, it was so nice. It was so easy to read. It is a bit of a bigger book, so if you know to yourself that that doesn't get you out of a reading slump, then I don't necessarily recommend it. This reminded me why I loved romance so much, because I only got into romance recently. I was a big mystery and like thriller girl and just murder. I couldn't put it down. Like, I was looking forward to reading it at the end of the day if I didn't have time during the day to read it. I tried to make time for this book, and it had me in such a big chokehold that I literally just impulsively ordered the second part, which is Terms and Conditions. Some people prefer this book, some people prefer the other one, but I just know that I want to read the other one just because I like the writing style so much. I'm even considering starting the Dirty Air series just because I really like the writing of the author. It's like workplace romance, sunshine, and like Grumpy and Sunshine. What I liked about this book, because I've heard that sometimes Grumpy and Sunshine, the guy's just mean, and there were a few points in this book where I was like, that maybe is a bit much, but overall, you know, he was just grumpy and she was just a sunshine. And there's this one date scene that just was like, can I please be in this book? Like, then moving on to the 6th book, which is The Love Hypothesis. Again, a super popular romance book. This was actually the first romance book I ever read. I have a video on, it's quite an old video, but I have a video on where I try out reading different genres. I saw this everywhere, BookTube, BookTok, Bookstagram, like literally everywhere, and people were recommending it to me. So I was like, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna order it and I'm gonna read it. And Sorry, this was the first book I think this was the first book I tabbed, but I tab very differently now. But just look at this. Like, just look at this. Like, it had me in a chokehold. I think I finished it like in 3 days. It's originally a Wattpad book, by the way. I think it's like, it was like fan fiction of, I don't know about who, but it is fan fiction. Just keep that in mind. There happens so much outside of the relationship and the romance, but it still adds to the plot. So it's just perfect. It's about Olive and Adam is kind of like hated by everyone. It's kind of like, I hate everyone except you. It is a fake dating romance and like a fake dating trope, and my god, do I love those. I don't know why, but they just hit differently. I can't wait for the author to publish more books. Then the 7th book is The Silent Patient. You could have expected this. I'm pretty sure this is in like half of like BookTube's what books will get you out of a reading slump video, but it's you know, a popular and well-rated book for a reason. The way this plot twist was delivered, fuck me. I'm sorry. It was just so good. It's basically about Alicia, and she had a perfect life until she shot her husband 5 times in the head, and she hasn't said a word since. Like, she literally does not talk. And we get the point of view of a psychotherapist, and he applied for a job at the psych ward where Alicia Benson is. Barrison, not Benson. I munch this shit up because there's so many questions that you have. You know, why did she kill her husband? Why doesn't she speak? This is an awesome book, and the same with The Love Hypothesis. If you haven't read this yet, what are you doing? But yeah, it's a psychology thriller, and I gave this 5 stars as well. It was just, if I could devour this, I would like genuinely consume it and like put it into my blood. 100% would. The last book, if you've been following me for longer, I literally recommend this book in every single book recommendation video, every single fucking one of them, just because I have not heard a single person talk about this book. I have not met a single person that has read this book, and I don't know how, but it's obviously The Therapist. So basically, Alice and Leo, they decide to move in together, and they move into the Circle. It's like a gated community with, I'm pretty sure it's 12 houses. Like, only after they move in, they find out something shocking. Only after they move in, they find out something shocking about the house, and their neighbors are just like, you know, the neighbors are a bit off. Basically, in the house, there was a therapist that lived before, and she starts to feel this strong emotional connection to this therapist. And she wants to piece together everything that happened, so she gets obsessed with this, and basically you follow the book, and it's captivating, holds you in chokehold. The ending, pure gold, 5 stars. My camera's about to die. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank you for the support I've been getting recently. I really, really appreciate it. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any recommendations for me, let me know. And if you're still watching, comment the sun emoji since it's absolutely boiling. And yeah, I'll see you when I see you.